Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 358th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. As you know, I kind of like doing some different things sometimes. Well, after 358 battles, I think it is quite good to try and do different things. And this battle was fought on a map that is seldom used on RTW, and it's called the Sierra Nevada map. Now, if you can see here, can you see it's a hilly map, okay? But it's kind of a neutral hilly map. Can you see that both teams have got exactly the same kind of terrain to fight on? So there's no advantage here to either side. As I say, how many of you ever fought on this Sierra Nevada map? I bet there's not many that do. As you can see, you've got big open plains, you've got trees that you can bring barbarian factions and fight in the woods to get the woods bonus. It's a really interesting map, and I hope you enjoy this battle. Okay, our first teammate is Brotherhood member Uther, who's bought the Rome Scipii faction. I think he's got 12 infantry units there, including, and also he's got a peasant unit. Now my guess is that he'll use his peasant unit in his pilot shield units here. And remember, a cheap unit like this, as long as it stands its ground, it can soak up pilers as good as any other expensive unit. So, as I say, with peasants, as I say, the morale is very low, but as long as they stand their ground, then they'll soak up the pilers as good as anything else. I see he's got 6 cavalry. He usually brings serious cavalry, and as you can see, he has done just that here. He's got 8 upgrades, so that's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry. So that's a pretty good, solid Scipii army there. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member JGP, who's bought the SPQR faction. I think he's got something like, yeah, he's got 12 infantry and an archer unit, and I think he's got 6 cavalry. You'll see 2 will be hiding in the trees there, but yeah, it's like he's got 12 infantry, 1 archer, and 6 cavalry. Let's have a look at the upgrades on his cavalry, and he's got 7 upgrades. So he's got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry there. That's a pretty good army. Our next teammate is, as we go up the hill, our next teammate is Brotherhood member Legion 22, who has bought the Greek Cities faction. Now, I want to draw your attention to some of the upgrades on his Spartans. Now, he's only got, I think he's got 9 Spartan units. That's all he's got, 9 Spartan units, which is low for a modern day battlefield. But if you look here at the upgrades, can you see he's got 7 upgrades on his Spartan? So he's got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. Now, you couple that with their 2 hit points and their fantastic specifications, and that striping is really going to make a difference to those units. Okay, now he's only got 9 Spartan units there. Some of his units there have, I think one of his units there has only got, 1 or 2 of his units have got 6 upgrades on, but the majority have got 7, including his general. So I say he's got 9, I think, Spartan units there, and he's got 2 armoured hoplites with no upgrades on, which will be, of course, his pilot shield units there. As we look, you see no upgrades on those, and I think he's got 8 Cretan archers. So that's a lot of archer power he's got there, as well as those well upgraded Spartans. And I can see he's got a fast moving armoured general unit there as well. So that's going to be an interesting army to watch, I think, especially with that experience stripe on those Spartans. And our 4th teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who's bought his old 12 infantry and 6 cavalry there. So there's our team. As you can see, it's an interesting map. The tactic here is for me and Legion to try and hold this part of the high ground here, and for our allies right down the other end to run up here as fast as they can. That's the usual tactic for this map. So as you can see, JGP down there will have to run up here as fast as he can to try and hold this hill against the enemy. Should be an interesting battle for you to watch. At this stage of the battle, I thought we'd have a look at Uther's formation. As we thought, you can see that he's put his peasants in amongst his pilot shield units there. Now, as I say, their morale for peasants is absolutely really poor, but as long as it stands its ground, it's going to be getting its general morale bonus. So as long as that unit stands its ground, it will soak up pilers as much as any other expensive unit. So putting a peasant unit within his pilot shield formation is a good move, and I've seen him do that before. Just have a look at his cavalry formation there. Notice they're not in wedge formation from the beginning, they're in normal formation, which gives them extra speed. Remember, in wedge formation they do run a bit slower than in normal formation there. So as I say, this should be a great battle for you to watch, and I hope you enjoy it. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Trajan, who has bought the Rome Julio faction. I think he's got 12 infantry there. Yeah, he's got 12 infantry. You look at the upgrades on the majority of his infantry of 7 upgrades. So he's got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his 9 infantry units there. Okay, so those 9 there have got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack, which makes those infantry very serious infantry there. That experience stripe really does make a difference during the course of the battle. And I see he's got 6 cavalry. And I see he's got 6 upgrades. So he's got gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry. So he's actually spent the bulk of his money on those 9 infantry units there. So it'll be interesting to see how well that army does. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Cal. A lot of you will know Cal. He's been playing RTW for years. Very good RTW player. He's had a short break from Rome Total War, but I notice he's back now, which is nice to see. And I think he's got 15 infantry there. And just 5 cavalry. Have a quick look at the upgrades on his cavalry. And let's see what he's got. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so he's got 7 upgrades. So that's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry. So that's a pretty good, tried and tested Rome army there. Just have a look down here on my teammates here. Now, some people I've seen on this map have attacked from these positions here uphill against the enemy. Well, that's not a very good strategy on this map. The strategy is to move left to the higher ground with your allies over on that left flank. But as I say, JGP is down here. My guess is that he will know not to try and attack uphill. As I say, I have seen people do that, and as you can see, Uther as well. If you notice that Uther's turned his army to run up to that left flank there, and he won't be attacking uphill there. Okay, so that was just to show you that particular part of the map. The third teammate of the enemy team there is Mystique, who's bought the Rome Julio faction. As you can see, a lot of Mystique's army will be hiding in the woods there. But as I say, the tactic here, the strategy here, is to move up to the higher part of the ground for both teams, so that both teams there, neither team then has got a disadvantage. And the other team's 4th teammate is RTW player, Brotherhood member Bark, who's bought the Rome Brutii faction. As you can see, the bulk of his army is hiding in the woods there. So his strategy, as I say, and tactics will be to move up to the higher ground there with the rest of his teammates. As I say, this is it is a hilly map, but it is a neutral map as long as the strategy and the tactics of both teams kind of match up. And as I say, both teams are aiming to get up to their part of the higher ground. Okay, at this very, very early stage of the battle, in fact the battle has just this second started. You can see I'm running my infantry forward there to move into the woods just in front of where my units were stood. It kind of evens it up a little bit because the enemy have a slightly higher ground there to us, and if I move forward there, I'll be on an even par with them. And if you notice that Legion's running his Greek city units up to where my position is there. You see he's going to move his fast moving general unit out to try and take those archers out there, but Trajan was ready for that with his cavalry unit there. Nice little aggressive move there by Legion there to try and take those archers out with that fast moving unit. Okay, you can see the enemy armies there, 2 Julio armies facing mine and Legion's. Just pause the game for a second. So to say, you can see both Cal here has moved his army over and Trajan there. So we're facing 2 Roman armies at the moment. And as you can see, Legion is moving on up to my my army there, up at the highest point there. That's it, he'll link up on that right flank with me. If you notice, I've got my cavalry at the back here. If you look at the right there, you'll see that they're hiding. So of course, as far as the enemy knows, they can't see where my cavalry is, so I could have it anywhere within the trees here. They've got no idea where I've got my cavalry hiding. It could be anywhere here. So that's a good tactic on this map. Keep your cavalry hidden, keep the enemy guessing where you've put them. Okay, you can see Mystique coming over here, and Bark is all the way down the other side of the battlefield. As you can see, JGP and Uther will be running up as fast as they can to get up to this higher ground. As I say, the tactics and strategy of this game is for both teams to run up to the higher ground there and then go from there, if you see what I mean. As I say, neither team wants to attack the other one, as it's can be an uphill battle from our point of view anyway. Right, so you can see here Legion has now linked up with me and is on the right of my flank there. So here on our left flank and left centre there, you can see that we've moved up. You can see JGP moving up as fast as he can. and you can see Uther's cavalry running up as fast as he can too. And as I say, you'll notice that the enemy team's heading up to this high point as well. As I say, this is a hilly map, but it's quite a unique map because both sides have got the same kind of terrain. There's no advantage. Usually on a hilly map, one side or the other has got an advantage, but here it is quite neutral. Right, as you see here, Trajan moving forward towards my my infantry. So both, as I say, we're Legion and myself are facing both Cal and Trajan here on our left flank and left centre. Right, if you notice that JGP, as I say, is running up as fast as he can. Can you see Mystique was trying to harass his troops there with cavalry, but also Mystique has brought archers over as well on an uphill advantage to shoot down on JGP's infantry. Now look at the upgrades on Mystique's archers. 9 upgrades. Okay, so these 4 archer units are fully upgraded. That's 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack, which makes these already good archers really fantastic archers here. And firing from uphill down onto enemy troops, they could cause some massive casualties, especially with those big upgrades. So it'd be interesting to see how Mist uses those archers during the course of the battle. Meanwhile, over to the higher ground here. As I said, you can see both Legion and myself are formed up here to face Cal and Trajan. Now my guess is, as you know, when somebody selects Greek cities, they put their team at a cavalry disadvantage, so you've got to make the most of your elite troops there to make up for that cavalry disadvantage. And knowing Legion, my guess is that he will be aggressive with those Greek cities during the course of the battle. Right, you can see Mystique's arrows going into JGP's cavalry. I think there's 1 cavalry unit already reduced to 19. Remember, the cavalry units are 54 men units there, and that was already been reduced to 19 by sheer archer fire there. You see a lot of arrows going in there. But as I say, up here on the higher point, you can see, as I say, Cal and Trajan there, just biding their time, waiting for their allies to arrive. As you can see, JGP's formed up on the flank of Legion's Greek city units there. I think there's been a lot of pilot exchanging here already. But we just have to wait and see what the team decides to do over here on this flank. I can see our Greek city allies, our Legion, using his fast-moving general unit for harassing and haranguing purposes. Nice hit there. As you can see, he's got his 2 pilot shield units out the front of his main battle line there. Remember, those pilot shield units have got no upgrades. They're just there solely to soak up the enemy pilots there. I can see Uther's running to get up onto the high ground as fast as he can, as well as Bark is moving to get up to the high ground as well. As I say, this is an interesting map. I just wonder how many of you have ever fought on this Sierra Nevada map. It is an interesting one with some good tactical and strategic moves. Right, as you can see here, I think Cal has spotted that those armoured hoplites have got no upgrades, so he is now attacking them aggressively there, probably with a view to try and take them out, and then that frees up the rest of his army to throw pilers into the main Spartan battle line there. You can see Trajan here has put a couple of units in Testudo in front of his main army. There you go. You see Legion spotted what Cal's tactic was there and moved his Spartans forward there to try and stop his pilot shield units from being destroyed by the aggressive Julii attack there. So as I say, Legion's usually quite aggressive with his Greek city army, and that's exactly what he's going to do in this battle, I would think. If you notice here, I've moved my army forward as well to try and link up with his flank there to make sure the enemy can't attack the flank of his Greek city units. And as you can see, most of the teams, of both teams now, are forming up now to where their position is going to be before the actual probably action kicks off. You notice that Uther here is pulling his army up behind our armies there. That's a nice strategic move because he can keep his army fresh. It can have a rest now from running up from that hill, from the bottom of the hill, and he can rest now. And then from that position he can reinforce any of our battle lines across the battlefield there. So that's a nice little strategic move there for Uther. As I say, Legion here putting his armoured hoplites back out into their pilot shield positions there. And I see JGP's using some of his SBQR troops to attack some of the Julii troops. So let's just pause the game for a second. So say you can see that Barak is here over on our right flank. Now what he may well be doing is looking to attack JGP, as well as I think it's Mystique there as well. So there could be a 2v1 here, but of course Uther's behind our armies there, so he can always send reinforcements. Right, you can see JGP there attacking, as I said. Right, you see that Julii cavalry going in there. It's a nice little cavalry hit into our SBQR ally, I'm thinking there, and bang, as that Julii cavalry hits. Smashes straight into our engaged SBQR ally there. Causing a lot of damage, a lot of casualties there. Didn't rout either of those SBQR units, but would have caused a lot of casualties there. Really whittled those units down there with that big cavalry hit. Right, if you notice that JGP is moving his infantry forward there. Right, if you notice I've moved my infantry over a little bit there to the left, because you can see Cal has brought 5 of his units over to this flank here. And maybe they're looking to do a joint attack on my army, both Trajan and with Cal's 5 additional units there. He could well be looking to attack. I noticed that Trajan's moving 2 of his Testudo units forward here to soak up any pilots that I might want to throw. Remember, in Testudo they won't suffer a lot of damage, those units. If you have a close-up look, can you see the Roman troops looking out just over the top of their shields? Nice Testudo there. As I say, the Roman army back in the day made the most of that Testudo unit, very effective. Okay, over to our right flank here, you can see another cavalry attack coming in onto one of JGP's units that is in Testudo. See that cavalry hit? Bang! As that cavalry smashed in to that unit in Testudo there. Caused a lot of casualties. Notice Trajan's not hanging around to fight infantry. He just wants to get the full cavalry charge bonus, do as much damage as he can, and then pull back. Nice cavalry hit there. Right, just pause the game here. Right, you can see that Cal has moved those 5 units forward and is now peppering my pilot shield units with loads and loads of pilots there. You can see those pilots coming in almost like rain into my pilot shield units there. So as I say, you got Trajan's full army there, plus 5 units of Cal's infantry there. Really trying to decimate my pilot shield unit on this flank, which is what he's doing. Remember, that unit was 82 man. It's already down to 21 and still being hit by pilots now. So that's a very aggressive move there by Cal. And as I say, maybe Trajan and Cal are thinking to hit my army here on our left flank. That may well be a tactic they're looking at. But I see Cal has pulled his units back after throwing the pilots and doing the damage. Another Trajan cavalry attack going in, and bang! As Trajan cavalry hits a JGP's SBQR units again, this time routing a unit. Trajan being extremely aggressive with his cavalry hits, really smashing into JGP's infantry, doing the damage and then pulling straight back out. He doesn't want to suffer too many casualties fighting infantry. He just wants to smash into the enemy, cause as many casualties as he can and pull back. If you notice here, Legion's moved his archer units forward. Just pause the game for a second. He's moved his archer units forward there, and every time that cavalry hits, he will then be shooting loads of arrows into that enemy cavalry. So a lot of that cavalry would have suffered casualties there from Legion's Cretan archers. So that's a nice supportive move there by Legion's archers there. But you can see here, a lot of enemy archers are at the rear. Remember, that's Mystique's archers there, fully upgraded. Okay, those are fully upgraded archers there. So and they've got a slightly higher ground advantage, so they can pick off our cavalry if we get into a fight there with him. As you can see here, I think the enemy Barks, enemy Brutii infantry there could do a flanking movement on JGP's SBQR units there, backed up by Mystique. So I say there's a lot of big cavalry hits going in here. It's like a battle of attrition on our right flank there, with Trajan's cavalry smashing into JGP's SBQR units, causing them casualties. As I say, it's like a grinding battle over there on our right flank. A real battle of attrition. Right, you can see JGP charges cavalry into the enemy Brutii infantry, and then decides to pull his cavalry back at the last moment there. But I notice he's charging infantry forward as well. JGP's cavalry is getting hit by Mystique's archer units there. So you can see JGP's units in Testudo there just being hit by Trajan's cavalry, and bang, as Trajan's cavalry goes in again, routs that SBQR unit there. Nice hit. As you can see, Trajan being extremely aggressive with his cavalry, as we've seen all the way through the first part of this battle. That was a nice cavalry hit there. But if you notice, as I say, JJP's units are gradually getting worn down on this right flank of ours. As I say, the attritional war is not going our way on the right flank. Another cavalry hit there by Trajan. Bang, and again. Didn't rout that unit that time, but caused a lot of casualties to that unit. As I say, the attritional war on our right flank is not going our way at the moment. I notice that Uther's moving reinforcements down to our right flank there, as he has seen the danger. I notice that as he's moving his infantry down, Mystique is concentrating some archer fire onto his infantry, as well as the Brutii archers there. They're shooting into the flank of Uther's army as he moves down to support our right flank. Another cavalry hit going in, and bang! Another Trajan cavalry hit smashing into JGP's Testudo unit. Remember, if you go into Testudo, that is a good defensive formation, but of course all you can do is stand there and take the attack. You can't even charge back at the cavalry to try and neutralise their charge bonus. You just stand there and take the hit, and that's what JGP just did there from that cavalry. That was a massive hit there by Trajan. As you can see, this is a good display of aggressive cavalry hits there. And as you can see, the way where Trajan's placed his cavalry there, he has got a slight downhill charge advantage as well, so he could do a lot of damage with that cavalry, which is what he's been doing. I can see Trajan charging his cavalry in yet again. Really nice aggressive use of cavalry there, and as he charges in, and bang, as he hits that SBQR infantry once again, causing casualties. He might not rout any of those SBQR infantry, but he would have caused a lot of casualties there with that cavalry hit. As you can see, Legion 22 with his Cretan archers will be targeting that attacking cavalry. I noticed that when the cavalry are not attacking, he's got his archers on idle, so they're not shooting, but the moment enemy cavalry comes into range, he then targets those Julii cavalry there with those Cretan archers. Those long range Cretan archers would do a lot of damage to that Julii cavalry. But as you see, as I say, Trajan being extremely aggressive with that cavalry here. It's routed another one of JGP's SBQR units. As you can see the arrows from Legion 22's Cretan archers hitting those Julii cavalry. And if you notice, Trajan charging in again with his cavalry. Over here, as I say, on our right flank, JGP charging in, being aggressive with his infantry. But as I say, it's an attritional battle on this right flank, and the enemy Brutii and enemy Julii on our right flank here seem to be very strong. And looking at the amount of SBQR units that are left here, our team is not doing all that good on our right flank there. As I say, Uther's moved reinforcements over there to try and prop up our right flank, but JGP has lost a lot of troops there on that right flank, mostly from those massive cavalry attacks there. If you notice here, Mystique has moved archers forward. Those fully upgraded archers have moved forward there. Now I think the reason that Mystique's done that is to target the Cretan archers. Let's just pause the game for a second. Yeah, so moving those archers as far forward as that now, we'll be able to target Legion's Cretan archers. They couldn't reach them before, but moving them that much forward now, they will be able to reach those Cretan archers. So that's why Mystique has done that. Let's take a general look at the game here. Over on our right flank, you can see a lot of our allies' SBQR units are starting to rout. So Uther now has come over to prop up our right flank there, but he's facing a Julii army and a Brutii army here. And as I say, JGP's SBQR infantry has been decimated here on our right flank, mostly by heavy cavalry hits. So as I say, Uther here is facing two armies there, over there on our right flank. As I say, it wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden Legion 22 starts advances with his Spartans there. He won't want to stay passive with those elite troops. As I say, you can see Legion's archers here targeting, Mystique's archers targeting Legion's Cretan archers there. But as I say, you can see here that Uther's moving his Scipii troops forward, as I say, to try and prop up our right flank. I'm just waiting to see if Cal and Trajan are going to attack me on our left flank here. Where you can see Legion sending that cavalry unit in, and bang, as it charged into that Julii infantry unit there. It's a nice aggressive use of that cavalry unit there. But the thing that's looking a bit worrying for us, as I say, is our right flank at the moment. As I say, Uther is over there with his army, but he's only got a few SBQR units there left, and they're battle damaged, and he's facing two armies, the Julii army and the Brutia army there over on our right flank. So, as I say, things maybe not looking so good on our right flank. As I said before, it's been an attritional battle on this right flank with those big cavalry hits on JGP's infantry that has decimated a lot of his units and really weakened them. Okay, can you see Legion 22 decided now at this time of the battle he's going to move forward with his Greek city units here, moving them into the enemy Julii infantry. Okay, as I say, when you go Greek cities, you put your team at a cavalry disadvantage, so you must make up for that by using your elite troops in the best way you can. Now remember, most of his infantry there, most of those Spartans have got an experience stripe on, which makes them even more tough. So don't forget, those Spartans have got 2 hit points, fantastic specifications, and an experience stripe as well. So that's going to really make those Spartans tough there as he goes in against that Julii infantry. But as I say, over here on our right flank, JGP's moved in with his cavalry, and bang, as JGP attacks a Julii unit, routs that Julii unit there. Nice aggressive attack in there by JGP's cavalry. But as I say, you can see at just a glance here, the enemy are the red and the green against our blue and purple. So you can see at a glance there how outnumbered we are on the right flank. But as I say, Legion 22 moving his elite Spartans forward into the enemy ranks. And if you notice, I've moved my Scipio army forward a little bit there to try and protect his flank. Once again, I'm moving over there again to try and protect his Greek city's flank. Remember, the vulnerable part of any unit on Rome Total War is the flank and the rear. Right, can you see that Julii cavalry charging in? Once again, a nice aggressive attack by the Julii cavalry, and bang! Straight into JGP's cavalry there. But if you notice that the Julii cavalry have got that slight downhill charge bonus, and have now routed most of JGP's cavalry there. If you notice, Barak was going to charge in his Brutii cavalry as well, but he didn't need to. So most of our allies' cavalry there has now been routed. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as I say, on our right flank, most of the SBQR units have now been routed, and Uther's Scipio army is now facing the green Brutii and the red Julii there. So those two enemy armies there are facing basically just Uther's army with a couple of battle damage SBQR units within them. As you can see, Legion 22 is advances with his Spartans, those well upgraded Spartans there, and if you notice that my forward units are being attacked by the enemy Julii units there. So as I say, our right flank here is the most worrying part of the battlefield here. You can see a lot of pilers being thrown into my piler shield units there. Remember, that unit now has been reduced down to 9 men from 82, just purely on piler kills there. So that unit's doing its job, it's soaking up the pilers there, but it has suffered considerably. As I say, you can see that Legion 22 is moving his Greek cities forward, once again trying to be really aggressive here, doing what good Greek city general does, being very aggressive there, taking the battle to the enemy. But as I said, over here on our right flank, you can see the enemy green and the enemy red here are up against basically Uther's infantry. JGP still got some battle damaged cavalry left, and has still got a few battle damaged infantry units left, but things not looking very good on our right flank. That attritional battle has gone against our team. As I say, here you can see very, very good aggressive attack in there by Legion 22 with his Greek cities, really taking on a lot of enemy Julii troops. Right, you can see enemy Julii cavalry charging into the flank of Uther's infantry, and bang! As that cavalry charges into the flank of Uther's infantry there. Nice aggressive hit there, and you can see the Brutii cavalry charging in as well. Bang! As that Brutii cavalry charges as well. Poor old Uther's taking a bit of a whacking here by cavalry. If you notice, he's moving some infantry units over there once again to support that right flank. But as I say, our right flank has been really battered by the enemy team here, and it's not say, not looking very good on our right flank. And if our right flank breaks, then of course it would only be a matter of time before the enemy go on to win the battle there. Right, just pause the game for a second. So if we look over here on our left flank here, you can see not a lot going on. The enemy team, obviously the enemy army facing me, not doing a lot. We've got some cavalry up there. But as you see, as I said, Legion 22 really aggressive with his well upgraded Spartans there, really taking the battle to the enemy there. Really doing what a good Greek cities general does, as I say, attacking. Over here, as I said, on the right, we got enemy cavalry right there ready to charge into the flank of our infantry. We got Brutii infantry ready to attack as well. Plus we got all that Julii, enemy Julii infantry ready to attack us as well. So as you can see here, our right flank is, as it has been all the way through the battle, a very, very delicate area for our team. If you notice here, I've linked up with my Greek cities ally there with one of my Scipio units there to try and stop any flanking there. Right, can you see that Julii cavalry charged in and bang, charged into the flank of our allies there again. If you notice, I'm moving my cavalry over there to try and neutralise that cavalry. But the Julii general's pulled his cavalry back before I make contact with it. But as I say, there, the enemy tactic here seems to be like a battering ram. Charging in, smashing into us, causing casualties, then pulling back. And that's what they seem to want to do. This is where I think the hammer blow will fall the hardest on our right flank, and as it has been all the way through the battle. As you can see, most of Uther's infantry is now engaged with the enemy Julii infantry. Right, can you see Uther's charging his cavalry for? He's gone into wedge formation now for better power and impact with his cavalry, and bang, as that Scipio cavalry charges into the engaged enemy Julii infantry. Nice aggressive attack there by Uther's cavalry. Routed two of their Julii units straight away. Really nice hit there by Uther. As you can see, the enemy look to counterattack with their cavalry, and they're charging in to some engaged Scipio troops there, and bang, as that Julii cavalry hits. So to say, this right flank could prove pivotal to the outcome of the battle. Right, can you see Uther charging his cavalry in again, and bang, as that Uther's cavalry hits home into the enemy Brutii infantry there. But now the enemy are counter-attacking with their own cavalry attacks here. As I say, the attritional battle on our right flank has not been going our way. As you can see, most of JGP's units have been routed. He's still got some units left there, but they're very battle damaged. If you notice, I'm charging my cavalry forward. Bang, as my cavalry charges in there. If you notice that Uther's charging cavalry units in as well. We're trying to cause as many casualties to the attacking enemy as we can there. Uther's cavalry charging in as well. Really nice aggressive attacking there by Uther. But as I say, remember, the enemy are the red and the green, and we are the blue and the purple here, okay? So just at a glance, you can see the enemy numbers against our numbers here. They're the red and the green. As I say, we are the blue and the purple. Okay, as I say, Legion 22 really attacking, really aggressive with his infantry there. As I say, with Spartan units, they remind me like a steamroller, very slow moving, but they go over anything in their path, and that's exactly what Legion's doing there. If you notice that Trajan's reduced his army to send units down to attack the Greek city units there. So at the moment, my army is facing a reduced number of Julii infantry in front of me. But also, you might have noticed that I've moved reinforcements down to our right flank as well. Okay, you can see a lot of that Julii cavalry charging again, and bang, as that cavalry charges in. And you can see a lot of Uther's cavalry there. Right, let's just pause the game for a second. I think all of Uther's cavalry has now been routed. So on our right flank, all of Uther's cavalry has now been routed, and it looks like our right flank could well fold. JGP, as I say, he's got some battle damaged units that he's got in the battle line. If you notice, I'm charging my cavalry forward as well. And Uther's got a lot of his infantry engaged already, so things not looking very good on our right flank. As you can see here, as I said, Legion 22 taking the battle to the enemy there in our left centre. And as you can see, I've moved some of my units over to the right flank already there. So as I say, all of Uther's cavalry has now been routed. Remember, he had great upgrades on his cavalry, 8 upgrades, 2 experience, stripe, gold shield, gold attack, and bang, see my cavalry charging into that Brutii infantry and cavalry there. But if you notice, my cavalry looks like it could be engulfed by enemy troops. I've got Brutii infantry and cavalry all around me, and Julii cavalry charging again, and bang, as that Julii cavalry hits, there's some more Julii cavalry coming into the fray as well, and bang, as that Julii cavalry hits as well. So as I say, it could prove pivotal on our right flank here. As I say, you can see I've sent over, I think it's 4 of my urban cohort units over to that right flank. As you can see here, my army is greatly reduced, so I sent 4 units over there. Now remember, my old army, most of the infantry have got an experience stripe as well as gold shield, gold attack, so I've moved, as I say, 4 units over to our right flank because I can see how bad our right flank is looking. Okay, plus I've got my cavalry over there as well, so we're all trying to do the best we can in holding our right flank here against an aggressive attacking enemy tactic on this flank. So once again, remember, the enemy are the green and the red, and we are the purple and the blue. Right, if you notice there, as I say, I've got 4 of my urban cohorts over there on that right flank trying to help shore up our right flank. But if you notice, the enemy's moved reinforcements over to that flank as well, because maybe I think they realise that this flank could prove pivotal to the outcome of the battle. It could be decisive on our right flank. Whoever wins there could go on to roll up the other team and go on to win the battle. As you can see, Bark still got most of his army intact, and he's being aggressive there, attacking with his Brutii infantry. If you notice, I've got my cavalry stood at the back of our team there with a hammer pulled back, ready to pull the trigger. Okay, I'm going to have to be very selective where I use my cavalry, because as I say, most of Uther's cavalry has now been routed, and my cavalry is the only cavalry over there on the right flank. Okay, can you see at this stage of the battle, I'm moving what's left of my infantry down behind Legion 22's infantry. Now the tactical thinking behind that is because I want to get closer to the right flank. Now I know that Julii infantry is probably going to try and flank us now I've moved, so I've got to make provision for that, but also I want to get closer to that right flank with the bulk of my infantry, so if necessary I can send reinforcements over to that right flank and right centre. Okay, that's why I'm moving down there. I know that the enemy are going to try and flank us here now I've moved away, but I need to make provision for that. As you can see here, I've moved my infantry down behind Legion 22's Greek cities here, but it is a tactical thinking move there. As I say, I can get closer to where my troops may well be needed more on the battlefield than on that flank. As I say, I've got 4 urban cohorts there and my cavalry over on that right flank trying to shore up the right flank. But as I say, you can see that what the enemy Julii general's thinking here is to move around to our flank there to flank both myself and Legion's units. Let's say, meanwhile, over on our right flank, you can see Bark's Brutii army there being extremely aggressive. If you notice, I've moved my my army forward there, and if you notice, can you see my cavalry charging in there? I've decided to pull the trigger, and the cavalry are now charging in, and bang! As my Scipio cavalry hit that engaged Brutii infantry. What I'm aiming for is a general. Can you see I've pushed through the Brutii infantry into that Brutii general? That's where I wanted to hit. So that cavalry hit there has routed a lot of the enemy Brutii troops, which is just what I was hoping it was going to do. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause again for a second. Okay, so with my infantry, I've got 4 infantry units plus my cavalry there. What I'm going to do is charge on through the enemy ranks and try and get behind or around the flank of the enemy team there. Okay, meanwhile, back over on our left flank, as I said, the Julii general is trying to flank us. If you've noticed, I've put a couple of my units there to try and neutralise that flanking movement there. And I've got some more infantry there to cover our other flank if we're attacked by the Julii troops. Meanwhile, Uther is moving his infantry forward at the same time. Okay, so as I say, my cavalry and infantry here has broken a lot of the Brutii troops, but what I'm not going to hang around there to try and take out the rest of those Brutii infantry. What I want to do is move forward. I'm trying to think of the big battle plan here. Not necessarily taking out to what's left of the infantry. Just pause again for a second here, but moving my infantry and cavalry forward with a view to get in behind or get into the flank of the enemy troops there. As I say, sometimes about you've got to think of the big picture. I could hang around taking out the rest of those Brutii troops, but time is the essence here. Right, you see Mystique has got in behind us with Julii cavalry there. Now, just to say, Steam was really playing up last night, Friday, when we played this battle, and it was dropping a lot of players from our games. And I think at this stage of the battle, Steam dropped Uther from the battle, if I remember correctly. So Uther now, I believe, I think I remember when we routed those Brutii infantry, that Uther then was dropped by Steam. So Uther's army now goes into AI mode. Okay, artificial intelligence now takes over Uther's army. Okay. So as I say here, over on our left flank, you can see that both Legion and myself are holding out against a big Julii attack. As I say, I've moved infantry over there to cover our flank, but I've also been able to move infantry where I want to now to try and help on our right flank. Right, okay, so you can see I've moved, remember I sent 4 urban cohort units over and my cavalry over to that right flank, so they're still there. But you can see Mist has got cavalry in behind us and is now attacking our units from behind there. So that was a good tactical move there by Mystique to get cavalry in behind. But can you also see the other red Julii cavalry charging forward? Right, if you notice there, can you see I'm charging my cavalry, but if you notice I'm charging uphill. The enemy Julii cavalry has got a downhill cavalry charge bonus, but I'm attacking them. I'm moving my infantry units in there as well. So this is a massive part of the battle here, because if my cavalry and infantry get routed here, the enemy will then be able to move infantry and cavalry in behind our own troops. Right, if you notice that I'm being hit by both Cal and Mystique's infantry and cavalry here. And as you can see, Cal's general and Mystique's general are still there, giving morale bonus to their fighting units. But you can see I'm really outnumbered there on that part of the battlefield. But over here on our left flank and left centre there, you can see that both Legion and myself are holding quite well against enemy units. So as I say, the battle's gone into 2 parts, if you like, here. Legion and myself over in the left flank and left centre, holding against the Julii attack. And over on the right flank there, you can see my Scipio army is greatly outnumbered by enemy infantry there. But remember, those 4 units over there have got an experienced stripe on, so I'm hoping that they're going to be able to hold there until I can get reinforcements over. It wouldn't surprise me if most of my cavalry started to rout here, but as you can see, I'm bringing reinforcements over. There's another urban cohort unit I'm moving over as well to try and help my beleaguered troops here on this right flank. Okay, you can see a lot of enemy archer fire going into the rear of my troops there as they're engaged. So of course that those fire arrows will be lowering morale as well as causing casualties. You see a lot of my Scipio units are starting to rout now. I think most of my cavalry has now been routed, so it's just my old infantry there that is managing to hold out against that aggressive Julii attack. Meanwhile, over here on our left flank, you can see that both Legion and myself have started to rout a lot of those Julii units that have been attacking us. If you notice Legion being aggressive, he's moved from defence into aggression now. Starting to attack with his Greek city units. We need to rout these enemy Julii units there, because over on that right flank, my infantry is, as I say, being engulfed by enemy red Julii units. If you notice here, I'm running my general over now. I'm trying to run my Scipio general over there to try and give my troops some general morale bonus there against this massive amount of Julii infantry that's attacking me. If you notice, I've got a battle damaged Scipio unit. I'm also charging as well.
Are running away.
So I say, just at a glance, remember the enemy that are left are the red and the green, and we are the blue and Greek cities there at this part of the battlefield. So I say here, nice aggressive movement there by Legion 22, really pushing in on the engaged enemy Julii troops. A lot of the enemy Brutii troops are routing here as well. So as I say, if we can take out those that Julii general as well, obviously that will knock the morale of his troops. As I say, remember over here on this part of the battlefield, I think Uther's AI army now is thrown in a unit there as well. So we're not doing too badly here against that those Julii units. And we just routed the last of the enemy over here on our left flank. I'm now running over my infantry units that I've got left here to help on this right flank against the enemy Julii. So I say I think both Cal and Mist have still got their generals left alive, giving morale bonus to their fighting troops. You can see Legion 22 running his Greek city units over as well, and my guess is when he makes contact with the enemy Julii troops, the moment he makes contact he will then down spears. and cause a lot of casualties to those Julio troops that are left. You see running into contact with the Julio troops there. So he's running in fighting with swords at the moment, and then all of a sudden he'll put the spears down probably there, and that will cause more casualties to the enemy troops there. But as you can see here, we're routing a lot of the enemy Julio troops. Did you see that one Julio unit starting to glow there? It just got a battlefield for, promotion there. Right, let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see, we've routed most of the enemy troops there. Just want to show you how intense the battle was here. Right from one flank to the other, you can see the piles of dead from one flank here right the way up to the other flank there. It just goes on and on and on. Remember, this is really intense battle right the way across the battlefield there, from one flank to the other. There, so from this angle here, you can just see the piles of our dead there, just to show the intensity of this battle. And it's a strange place to fight the battle there, isn't it? Just there, you would think you'd be fighting somewhere else, but that's the beauty with this massive map. There's lots of places you can actually fight with on this Sierra Nevada map. But as you can see here, we've routed most of the enemy units that are left now. I just think there's just a couple of, from what I can see, just a couple of archer units left there. Let's say this battle was fought last night, Friday, so it's a really fresh battle. I'd like to show you a mixture of old battles, average age battles, and brand new battles. Let's say this was a battle fought last night, but Steam was playing up a lot last night. Right, can you see those archers have been alt-attacked, moving in with their little daggers there against our units. Now remember that that's one of Mystique's archer units, so that's a fully upgraded archer unit. That's why it's holding so long against all our heavy infantry. See, that's what upgrades can do to any unit if you fully upgrade it. See, eventually it's going to fold because it's not meant to fight hand to hand really, but it did hold it quite a long time there, and as I say, that's what upgrades can do for your troops. Right, first thing I'd like to say is, can you see it says average victory? Well, I would have put money on that being a close victory. We must have just scraped into the average category there, but it did look like a close victory to me. I remember thinking, I was really surprised at that. Just like to draw your attention to Legion's kill there, 1,623. That's quite good kills there for Greek cities with his aggression and his archers. If you notice my army, the smallest army on the battlefield by far, and I got some very good kills. I'm very pleased with those kills there for having such a small army, so I'm very pleased with that. But if you notice there, can you see the highest kills goes to Mystique, 1,672. So really well done, Mystique, and I reckon that probably those fully upgraded archers accounted for a lot of those kills. So really well done. Plus I noticed a lot of cavalry hits going in as well. I don't think Cal and Trajan probably got the kills that they wanted, but they still did quite well with their aggression. So well done to them. But as I say, just have a look at the statistics here. Where you can see my army is the top army, because you can see the second Scipio army's got peasants in, which was Uther's. You see the peasants there, so that's Uther's army. This is my army here. Just looking at the statistics there, cavalry didn't do too badly there, I suppose. But the infantry didn't do too badly either. So not. I think that one unit there, 9 kills, that wasn't very good. But if you notice, most of the infantry have done quite well there. So that's not too bad there. So I'd just like to say really well done to Brotherhood members Bark, Mystique, Cal and Trajan. Really well played, guys. But also really well played to Uther, Legion and JGP. It's Spartan Commander saying, hope you enjoyed the battle, and bye for now.